Question number 12, we have some data. We're going to complete parts A through D. So it says determine the least squares regression line and choose one correct one below. So here's our data. We have an X and Y table. I'll just do StatCrunch. It does it pretty quick. Stat, regression, simple linear. X is going to be X, Y is going to be Y. Compute. Slope of 1.7, intercept 1.6. Slope of 1.7, intercept 1.6. So that looks like C. All right, graph the least squares regression line. So I can look at the data and try to match up the graphs, but you want to see the graph on the line. So I'm going to pull up this. Well, I guess I should just pull up the data again. I'll do the graph in Excel this time. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this. We're going to go to Insert. I'm going to go to the line graphs. More charts. I guess I should just do a scatter plot for now. There we go. Is it selecting it? Okay, there we go. So here's my scatter plot. I'm going to do plus trend line. Let me make sure. Can't see all the options, I'm sorry. Linear, more options. Let's make sure we display that on there just to make sure. So 1.7, 1.6. Okay, so here's a good image of our graph that we can see here. And we're going to match this up to the options that we have below. But you can do this on graph paper. You could easily label it -3 to 3 and then plot those points. So B does not look there. A almost looks the closest with the one dot above, one below, right there, and then the rest of them are pretty close going through. This one doesn't look close. That one doesn't match the pattern, and that one does not match. So A looks to be the best. The equation of the line containing the points -2, 2, and 2, 5 is y equals 1.75 x plus 1.5. We're going to compute the sum of the squared residuals of the given data set for this line. The sum of the squared residuals for the line containing this is blank. Okay, so we're going to compute the sum of the squares residuals. So we're going to make a chart. I can do that in Excel since I already have those data points there. So let me move this over. Let me look at this equation again. So they already got the equation for me. 1.75 plus 1.5. 1.75 plus 1.5. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this y hat, which is my prediction. Well, not y. Yeah, I'll just call it y hat. Okay, so this is my estimated value. This is going to equal, so I'm going to type the equal sign so I can do a formula. So I'm going to do 1.75 times the x value plus 1.5. So that should compute the predicted value. So I'm going to drag this corner down, and it's going to do all of them for me. Okay. So these are the actual, these are the predicted. So residuals, let me go back to the text just to show you and remind you of where these coming from. It should be the actual minus the predicted. talks about it in the beginning of this chapter. Interpretation of predicted. It should remind us maybe one more page. So here we go. Residuals, observed minus predicted. So we look at what we observed minus this. So I'm going to do a residual column. We'll call it R. And we're going to do, this is equal to, you got to put the equal sign, and it'll allow you to do a formula. It's going to be the observed minus the predicted. We got 0 there, so I'm going to click this corner and drag it down, and it should follow the same formula. So here are my residuals. And then once we get our residuals, we want to know, let me go back, make sure the sum of the squared residuals. So I'm going to add them up, I'm going to square them, and I'm going to add them up. Okay, so I'm going to take these values, I'm going to just say this is going to be R squared. Okay. So I'm going to say equal, and I'm going to say this times itself. And then let's see if it follows all the way down. It says F3 times F3, so it's squared. And then we're going to add these up. So formulas, you can just do the auto sum and just tell it to sum these. Enter. Okay, so I'm getting 0.375. Once we do all those calculations, 0.375. And do they tell us to round to a specific number of decimal places? I don't see one, so 0.375. I got too many threes. 0.375. Okay, so D wants you to compute the sum of squares residuals of the given data for the least squares regression line found in part A. So we're going to do the same thing, and it's just kind of showing you how you can confirm that the regression line actually makes the least squares regression the smallest. So we're going to do 1.7 and 1.6. I believe that I can change this 1.7 and 1.6 and it'll fix everything. 1.7 and 1.6. Yeah, and it changed that one. So I'm going to click here and drag, and it should change everything for me, so I don't have to go through all that again. So changing all of those, changed all of these, changed all of that, and I get 0.3. So 0.3 is smaller than the 0.375 that we got a while ago. And that least squares regression is 0.3. So that's one of the nice things about Excel. You can change a couple things and it'll do it all for you. All right, that'll be it.